Hey, vinyl community doodah Dave coming at you. Some more vinyl from 1977. I'm gonna do a little bit shorter video today, so happy Monday to everybody, and like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And thank you for watching my video. So some vinyl from 1977. We've got Dickie Betts and Great Southern. I featured this album before. Here's Great Southern, which had the great dangerous Dan Toller, who was later the second guitar in the Allman Brothers. And his brother, also Toller, Dangerous Dan Toller, and who was the bass player? Oh, there was the bass player on this was Ken Tibbetts, but he had a brother who was in Enlightened Rogues. So Dickie Betts, this was his second solo album. It's a picture with Dickie with Clive Davis there, I believe, because it was on, must have been on Arista. There you go. The head of the label from Phil Walden at Capricorn, who did all the Grateful Dead albums, the Allman Brothers albums. Got Capricorn Records mixed up with Warner Brothers, and then he switched to Arista for this. So this is a cool little album. It's got some nice jams on it. Run Gypsy Run. Bougainvillea was kind of the, if there was a single from it, there's Dickie with some fish. A beautiful mansion probably down in the Georgia way. Yeah, it's good. Don Johnson does some background vocals. Don Johnson wrote with the Allman Brothers sometimes. So yes, that Don Johnson from Miami Vice. It's why Greg Allman. A lot of musicians. Frank Zappa was in Miami Vice. Greg Allman. Glenn Frey, Smuggler's Blues. That had a real line to those guys. Mastered by George Marino at Sterling Sound, and the band is Dangerous Dan Toller. I mentioned Ken Tibbetts on the bass, Tom Broom on the keys, and Jerry Thompson and Donnie Charbonneau on the double drums. And Dickie does electric, slide, and lead vocals, and most of the writing on this. So there's Dickie with the family. Dickie Betts and Great Southern on Arista. There's the label, the Arista label. 77 tunes. Okay, I got a bunch of singer-songwriters, female singer-songwriters. Carla Bana first, her debut album on Columbia this time, and had some hits that were made big for other people. I think I featured this album on my female vocalist one. Also, here she is on Columbia. Someone to Lay Down Beside Me, which of course Linda Ronstadt did. Lose Again, that I believe Bonnie Raitt did, and Home, also that Bonnie Raitt did. And I think there's one, I think I Can't Hold On, one of them did as well too. Wonderful. Here's a picture of Carla, the songwriter. She didn't really catch on as much as Linda Ronstadt. She didn't write really like knock it out of the park, but the band is very good. It's a mixture of kind of, the James Taylor, Jackson Browne band, Russell Kunkel on drums, Lee Sklar on bass, Waddy Wachtel on guitar, and Andrew Gold on guitar, Kenny Edwards Gold and Edwards were from Linda's band. And on Home, she's got Emery Gordy Jr., Kenny Edwards, Dan Dugmore on steel guitar, who played with both as well, and Linda Ronstadt singing backup. And you get the idea. Wendy Waldman doing some backup vocals. So she's got some pretty A-list people singing on this. Very nice album. She wrote all the songs, produced by Kenny Edwards, who was, worked closely with Linda. So it's Linda, I think, really helped her get this, even though Linda wasn't on Columbia. recorded at the Sound Factory, and you get the idea. Mastered by Bernie Grundman at A&M. So it's a very nice album. Glenn Frey is also on here. Speaking of Glenn, it's funny, I just mentioned Glenn Frey with Miami Vice. John David Souther on If He's Ever Near. Jay Winding on the piano, who also played with that section, which later became the Immediate Family. Carla Branoff, initial album on Columbia. Another very great singer-songwriter, I think, Valerie Carter, who never made it as lead vocalist, but did a lot of backup, and the musicians on this are incredible. Linda Ronstadt again, Denise Williams, Herb Pedersen that we talked about in the last video, Maurice White from Earth, Wind and Fire, Lowell George from Little Feat, all of Little Feat pretty much is on here, Billy Payne, and also Lowell George, Billy Payne, Sam Clayton, and Paul Barrere on. Mike Utley from Jimmy Buffett's band, John Sebastian from The Lovin' Spoonful, a lot of Verdine White, Fred White, again from Earth, Wind and Fire, and just a great Bob Glaub, the great bass player, Jeff Porcaro from Toto, so Fred Tackett, who would later play with Little Feat at the time of this, Chuck Rainey, who played with everybody, bass player with Steely Dan. We also talked about John Hall, who was kind of around at this time, playing with friends with Lowell and his band Orleans. So this is has a nice cover of Ooh Child, Things Are Gonna Get Easier on it. Cowboy Angel, Heartache, Face of Appalachia, Ringing Doorbells in the Rain. Kind of a bluesy, funky, kind of a, if you'd imagine a female singer in front of Little Feat, that's what this is. I mean, I think this is probably the album that Bonnie Raitt would have liked to make. Bonnie Raitt, well, of course, wanted to be in Little Feat and sang with them as well. Valerie Carter, just a stone's throw. I believe this was her debut. Yeah, also on Columbia. Columbia signed a lot of women artists. I guess, you know, they made a lot of money on Janis Joplin. Rita Coolidge. We got a trio of female singers here. So this was, these are all 77 albums. Rita Coolidge, Anytime, Anywhere. Your Love Has Lifted Me Higher and Higher. The Way You Do the Things You Do. Oh, something about Valerie Carter. The song Valerie, which was a hit for Steve Winwood, is evidently about her. And she died a few years ago, about 8 years ago, 2017. What's that? 7 years ago, I guess, 8 years ago in Florida. She was 69. Rita is still around. Your Love Has Lifted Me. Here's Rita. And she was with Chris Christopherson at this time. And there's Chris Christopherson's song on here, I believe, Southern Lady. And has an interesting promo. They were really trying to promote Rita after her debut with Delaney and Bonnie on their Accept No Substitute album, and then with Mad Dogs and Englishmen with Joe Cocker and Leon Russell. And she did vocal work on albums by Dave Mason, Graham Nash, Eric Clapton, Stephen Stills, and Booker T. Jones. So that's pretty great. And then 71 met Chris Christopherson. So it's got a lot of her albums on here, and I own a bunch of them. I'm a big fan of Rita's smooth, kind of southern, she's Nashville sounding. Mike Utley on here, Dean Parks, who plays on a lot of the Steely Dan albums as well. Great guitar player. Lee Sklar, we just saw. Bobby Hall on the percussion. Clyde King, Vanetta Fields, and Shirley Matthews doing the backup. Booker T. Jones arranging, Booker T and the MGs, and playing organ on a couple tunes. The Way You Do the Things You Do, which Garcia does a nice cover of on his second album. Kim Carnes does backup on a lot of these. I don't want to talk about it. The Danny Whitten, that's an interesting choice. Danny Whitten from Crazy Horse, who Neil Young wrote Tonight's the Night about. Words by the Brothers Gibb, Bee Gees. Good Times, Sam Cooke is on here. So these are basically, she did a song Anytime Anywhere of songs made famous by other people, and Rita wanted to, go out and do it. So that's Rita Coolidge. Next, a band that hadn't had a studio album since Deja Vu in 1970, 7 years. They've been doing solo stuff. They did the live album, of course, Four-Way Street, but hadn't had a solo album until Crosby, Stills, and Nash. So this was the 77 comeback album, and it's good. I would probably choose them in order. Crosby, Stills, and Nash first, Deja Vu second. A lot of people think Deja Vu is the best with Neil Young on, and it's an excellent album, but I have great affinity for the first album. This was on A&M. I'm sorry, Atlantic. Saw the A, and nice labels there with the boat. It's got Southern Cross, which is a great song, and Just a Song Before I Go. Whatever were the big hits from this on Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Here's the liner notes. Shadow Captain, Cathedral, which is great, which Graham Nash took some acid and went to the Winchester Cathedral and supposedly wrote it. Carried Away. Really, really good album. Just a Song Before I Go. This doesn't have Southern Cross. It was Daylight Again, the next one that had Southern Cross. But as Dark Star, Craig Dirge on piano, George Perry on bass, Joe Vitale on drums, Russell Kunkel on drums, Tim Drummond on bass, Joe Vitale. So they have, excellent people back of them. Excellent recording on Atlantic. And here they are on the boat, and there's a whole big thing about the cover of the album, which one they, with Stephen Stills wearing the hat, not wearing the hat. He looks a little like Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau, with the red hat there on the boat, like he's going to be diving, and there they are singing. Graham and David and Steven. So Crosby, Stills, and Nash, 1977 on Atlantic. Yeah, he's got the red hat and even a Cousteau Society, Calypso, which was the name of Cousteau's boat. Okay, moving right along. We got one more, because I wanted to keep this kind of short. ELO, Jeff Lynne, Going Across the Pond. This was a double album, Out of the Blue, 77, and was a really big hit for them. I don't think Jeff Lynne did too many records that weren't big hits. He was turned to stone. Birmingham Blues is a cool song. I know my son, Dylan, likes that song a lot. And Big Wheels, Mr. Blue Sky, that was huge, used in a lot of movies. He could tell you all the movies that it's used in. Sweet Talking Woman, Across the Border, very, very good. They got the instrumental strings there. Ever since Roy Wood dropped out of ELO after the first couple of albums, seems like Jeff liked that string and orchestra sound, very Beatles-esque. It's on Jet Records, which was the English subsidiary of one of the main labels. Looks like United